Okay, guys. So today I would like to talk about a topic called as entity relationship and mappings. So we created in our previous demos, we created one simple entity. So that we understand how it is working, how it is getting mapped between our Java program and our database. So now we want to understand something advanced. It is called as entity relationship mapping. So first of all, to begin with, you have to think very logically, and you have to think that it is not at all a complicated topic. ठीक है? If you think that it is complicated, आपको समझने में दिक्कत आ जाएगा. ठीक है? See, it's very simple. Let's say let me write one diagram. Let's say in my table, in my RDBMS, let's say I have a table of employee and I have a table of department. So we have seen that in MySQL, we used to create a foreign key that refers my department. So let's say this is my employee. And this is my department. So I used to create a foreign key here. I'll call it as FK. FK ki matlab hai foreign key. So this foreign key used to refer the primary key in my department. Correct, no? So either rahega foreign key, either rahega primary key. So suppose if you have to store that a particular employee works in a particular department, so you need to insert this department first, then you will be able to insert an employee. Correct, no? So there will be many employees who will be working in a same department. So if I have to say what is the mapping between, if anybody asks you what is the mapping between this employee and a department, so how it's come, it means that he is asking how many records are related from table A to table B. So if I ask you what is the mapping, what's the mapping between employee and department? If anybody asks you this question, they are asking you how many records are related between these two tables. Can you guys help tell me what is the relationship between employee and department? How many records in the employee table in this context are related to how many records in the department?
So many to one.
Very good. So we will write that many records in my employee table are related to one record in my department. This relationship is called as many to one. Correct, no? Similarly, if I ask how many records in the department are related to the records of employee, so I'm asking you the relation or a mapping between this side to this side. Can you tell me, guys?
One to many.
One to many. Very good. Very good. Yeah. But yeah. So I will say one record, or simply I will write one record of my department is related to many records of the employee. So either in this example, we cover two scenarios. One is many to one, and also we we discussed about one to many also. Right now, so similarly, guys, so let's say we have suppose let's assume that every employee has got only one permanent address, or every employee has a related record of one PAN card, one Aadhaar card, one passport, something like that. Okay, so now let's try to write one more diagram, or one more, try to understand one more relationship. Let's think about the same employee here. And let's think about his Aadhaar card. Now, can you tell me the relationship between this employee, or the mapping between this employee and the card?
One to one.
Aadhaar.
1 to 1.
1 to 1. One record in this table, if you see, if you pick any record in this left table, you will be able to find only one record which is associated with this employee. If such a scenario exists, then this we call it as a mapping of 1 to 1. So in words, see, if you want to represent in an abbreviated way, you just write 1:1. That's all. So in words, if you want to say, then you will say 1 to 1 mapping. So otherwise, if you think about Hibernate will call it as 1 to 1 entity mapping. That's all. So whenever you have to do this, so Hibernate has given one annotation. So that annotation to understand this is simply, you can see, we will write 1 to 1. Whenever you do the mapping like this, you will write 1 to 1. Similarly, whenever you do the mapping in Hibernate, many to 1, simply the annotation is many to 1. And this side, the annotation is @ 1 to 1 to many. Look at this, how simply they have done it. So let me repeat once again. So this is 1 to 1. The annotation, look at this. What is this one? @1. 1 means left table. 2, 1, 1, 2 means the right table. Okay, so there is a associated only one record in the left table to the second table. So similarly, look at the annotation here. It is many to 1. Many records in the left table are related to one record in the right table. So similarly, look at this annotation. One record in the first table is related to many records in the second table. So this is how we are going to inform my Hibernate how it is related. So through this annotation, we are expressing how we want to relate these entities in our application. Okay, na? So my Hibernate will understand. So when it is creating this employee and a department table, it will automatically create your foreign key. Okay, and it will make sure that whenever you are inserting an employee, if you don't insert, if the corresponding department is not there, it will going to give you an error. You have to make sure that you have to insert a department, and then only you will be able to add that any number of employees to that department. So similarly, if you come to this 1-to-1 mappings, so you will be able to insert, and also you will be able to retrieve those associated records automatically. For example, if you retrieve the employee, it will also retrieve you the associated record of Aadhaar card. So that means it will going to lazily fetch those records as per your requirement. So similarly, if you fetch a department, and you will be able to automatically get all the employees associated with that department. You don't have to write a separate query. So that means, so these mappings are needed to fetch the associated data. So you don't have to write a complex query there. If you know the department ID, so then you will be able to fetch the department record. Along with that, my Hibernate can fetch you automatically the employees belonging to that department. So similarly, if you know the employee ID, you can fetch the employee record through Hibernate and also automatically fetch the department details for that particular employee. Okay, so when we do the application development, you will get an idea. Similarly, guys, so the last mapping what we need to understand is, so let's say, can you give me an example of many to many, guys? Many records in my first table are related to many records in my second table. I want an example for m is to n. So this mapping is called as many to many. Guys, can you think of
Student
this?
and course.
Student and course, but yeah, okay. Many students can take multiple courses. For example, in your BTech or engineering, so you might have had a parallel batches running for your departments. So in computer science, you might have multiple branches, correct now? So multiple branches in the sense, multiple sections. Okay, section 1, section 2, section 3. All of them would have taken, there were multiple students taken multiple subjects, correct now? All right. So guys, can you think of any other example for this many to many?
Customer product.
Okay. Okay, product. ये तो आसानी से you can understand. PRODUCT. So there is a product table, and let's say this is your cart. ठीक है ना? So there will be many customers, or there will be many carts that belong to a particular customer. ठीक है ना? Suppose let me have that mapping also here. Let's assume that one customer can have only one cart. ठीक है? Can you create multiple carts, or you can create only one cart? Guys, if you go to Flipkart, how many carts you can see there for your account?
One.
Only one now.
One cart.
Only one now. Okay. So what is the mapping either? ठीक है ना? समझ में आ रहा है? One customer will have only one
Yes,
cart.
sir.
ठीक है ना? ठीक है. So now in this cart, so now tell me how many products you can have. Many products will be there, correct now? So all these products can also be there in some other customer's cart now.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So we will write that. So these, but if you look at this particular cart entity, so many records in this particular cart will have an association with many products. So
One
that's
to
why
many.
we will write. No, you can think once again. See the same product here. Let's say you take one product, for example, here you take ID1 as a mobile. Okay, you think that there is a cart 1 that belong to person A. And also there is a cart 2 belongs to person B. Both can order the same mobile now. So I'm talking about the associativity. So there should be, see, when I say employee, if you go through the entire table of employee, there will be only one record associated with Aadhaar card table. So that's why I call it as one-to-one. समझ में आ रहा है ना? So now you go through the entire cart table. Will there be only one cart that is associated to this mobile, or there will be many cart records that are associated with this mobile?
Many cards.
Many cards will be having the same mobile. Possibility hai na? So let's say there is a some sale is going on, and everybody is interested to buy the same mobile. Correct, na? Are you getting it? So, and also guys, so it is not only associated with one record. So this cart may contain multiple products also. Let's say there is something called as a laptop. Let's say there is something called as, you tell me your favorite. So something, what else you order? Headphone, but yeah. Yes. So now you tell me which are all the products cart 1, which are all the products are there in cart 1, and which are all the products are there in cart 2. Symbolically, how can you represent how many records are associated with this cart and a product? In cart 1, mobile and headphone may be there. In cart 2, laptop and headphone may be there. And there is no restriction also, correct? No? So many records in the cart are associated with the many records in the product. So similarly, from product to cart also, many products are there in many carts. So it is called as a M into N relationship, or many to many mappings. And also from a cart, if you look at, so now if you have to tell me the relationship between a cart and a customer, can you tell me how many records in the cart are related to customer?
वन टू वन ही होगा ना?
1-to-1 ही है. I'm asking you.
हाँ सर.
Are you sure?
हाँ सर.
हाँ ठीक है.
एक कस्टमर के पास एक ही कार्ट होगा ना?
एक ही कार्ट होगा. So if you find any cart ID, so then you will have only one associated customer रहेगा बस. Correct ना? 1 second guys, I'm having some local disturbance here. 1 second. Okay. All of a sudden people will get too much devotional. They don't want to pray for themselves. They want to make everybody to pray. So they are playing some devotional song very loudly. Okay. So, so this is our scenario, guys. So like this, if you take up any project, I should be able to relate those entities because it is related. So I'm designing my project with my RDBMS, that is Relational Database Management System. I want to store my data in an RDBMS. So then I have to identify the relationship between my entities and how I want to store my data and how I want to fetch my data is very important for me. Okay, for example, in this scenario, 1 second, guys. 1 second, guys. Okay, guys, give me 2 minutes. I'll be back. So meanwhile, you tell me in which order you would like to store these details in your database. So what is the order in which you will be creating the customer, you will be creating the cart, and you will be creating the product? Think about it. Give me 2 minutes. I'll be back. Okay, guys. So can you tell me the flow of data here? Guys,
So
am I audible?
customer card for product.
Uh-huh. So in your database, which data will be there initially? What is the data you are going to create first?
Customer.
Customer को create करेंगे या product को create करेंगे? So when you go to a Flipkart, what you will
Product.
see? You are the first, or the product will be there already? Product रहेगा ना पहले से? हाँ. So product will be there ahead of you. So then a customer will register. Then for that customer, you will going to create a cart. Correct, no? Okay, think again, guys. You think about your own scenario and you think about the situation. Yes, guys. So you need to have the practical knowledge, practically how you want to make your application store the data. Correct, no? So we will when you go to a Flipkart, so your data is getting created when you register. Similarly, when you go for a cart, when you start adding products to the cart, so then your cart will get created. Correct, no? So in that cart, you will be adding multiple products, and whenever you don't want a particular product, you will be removing a product from your cart. So similarly, when you finally, what do you do? So you will going to place an order for this particular product. As soon as you place an order, what will happen to the details which are there in your cart, guys?
So it got deleted.
But yeah. So now what is the mapping between a cart and an order? Will there be any mapping between a cart and an order?
So one to one.
So you cannot see, suppose, no, first of all, is there any relationship between a cart and an order? Or is there a relationship between a customer and an order? I'm just taking your idea.
Customer and order.
So cart.
So cart and order key. So while creating the order, so I'll read the cart information and I'll be clearing the cart information and I'll be creating one order. Correct, no? So now there is no relationship. I don't want to keep any relationship here. So a relationship nahi rahega. If you want, you create it. But is there a requirement in according to your business requirement? You just take it out. So now you think about your mappings between a customer and your order.
One to many.
Is he correct, guys? Is he correct? One customer can make many orders. Correct, no? But yeah. So like this. So whatever, see, suppose there can be one table that is not at all related. So if you want to associate with any other entity, you relate it. If you want to keep it independently, you keep it. Okay. So totally everything together will become your schema. Okay, guys. So this is how your database will be there with associated or related entities. Is this concept clear, guys? Shall we check them in the program?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now let's create quickly. I think I have some. Okay, you are answering here. Okay, right. So let's quickly go here. Let's create a new project. Spring Boot starter. I would like to name this as mappings. So to make it very simple, guys, so I'm just creating, if needed, we'll make use of this. So let me make it as a web application. I'm selecting this. And also I want this particular data. So I'm just taking this. So I want this Spring Data JPA. Okay. And also I need these dev tools. So, and then I'm going to finish this. So let the project get created. So now you can see that the project got created. I think, okay, still it is getting created. So make sure that you check your POM file. You can see that data JPA is there, web is there. Okay. So now what I want to do is I want to add the dependency for my MySQL. I want to connect it with MySQL. So 1 second. So we know that we need a JDBC. So let me take this. So I'm adding that dependency for my JDBC here. For MySQL. Then I need the application properties to connect with my database. So these are all the same settings I would like to use in my new demo also. I'll go to the resource. I'll paste it to my application properties. Okay. So now if you want to create a different schema and test it there, go ahead and do it. Okay. So now what do I do? I'll simply run this application. So this should be your first task to check whether your newly created Spring Boot application is up and running. So I think I did not save this file. So application properties is not saved. So let me save it. Let me rerun it. If you see this, it confirms that your application is up and running. Okay. So now the next thing is, see, suppose I want to create a RESTful application. So the next immediate thing what I will be doing is, so let me create one new package here. I will call it as controller. So in this particular package, I would like to create one more class, and that particular class, I will call it as, this is a demo controller. Okay. So this demo controller, I would like to make it as a REST controller. So inside this, to check whether it is working or not, so I'll write one mapping, one get mapping. I can do it for a root. I can write one method here. One second, guys. So this is my simple controller. I have one mapping for the root. So have a look, where is your server running? So your server is running on 8090 port number. Go to the browser. Type localhost, and it's running on port number 8090. So it means that your application is up and running properly. Is this clear, guys?
Yes, sir.
Okay. आगे बढ़ेंगे. So now what do you want to do? I want to create some entities. So let's say I want to create a package now. So how do I create? Always better you go to your parent package, right click, click on new, and click on package. So inside this you want to create entity. So what is the first entity? Let's experiment the first mappings here. So let's create an employee and an Aadhaar card. So it one-to-one is very simple. So let's go and experiment with this entity. Guys, am I audible clearly? Because there is a background noise in my area. Am I audible clearly?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay, thank you. So I want to create a class called employee. You think that it is an entity, correct? No. So I will write one annotation called entity. So I will select entity from my JavaX persistence. So I need to write one ID. So this one will be my private integer. Let's take very simple things. Okay, string name. Let's keep it simple. Okay. Later you will, once you get the idea, you can complicate it. Whatever attributes you want, you add it there. So now this particular employee is related to your Aadhaar card entity. Correct now? So now that means it is having a dependency. So you want to relate, let's say I have one more entity called as Aadhaar. And I want to create this also as an entity. And it will also have an ID. So is it a number or is it an hexadecimal or is it alphanumeric? What is the format of your Aadhaar? Let's
Number.
Number. 12-digit number.
12-digit number. Okay. Okay, let's store these 12 digits as 12 characters. Okay. So let's make it as a string ID or Aadhaar number. Accordingly, you specify whatever you want to give the name for that particular Aadhaar. So here it is Aadhaar. Okay. AADHAAR. Okay. So let me refactor this and make this as Aadhaar. Okay. Okay. So fine. So now let's say what else you have in this Aadhaar, guys? Any other related address will be there? Okay.
Name.
Okay, let's keep simply name here. Okay. You can keep on adding other attributes here. Okay. So Aadhaar. Okay, let me refactor this. So this Aadhaar has a number, or I can also make this as simply ID, Aadhaar ID. Okay. So now I want to associate my employee and an Aadhaar. So as per my application requirement, one employee can have or one. Okay, let me refactor this also. So basically, okay. So basically, this is a citizen application. If you are thinking about every citizen will go into Indian citizen will have an Aadhaar ID, then you need to think that way. Okay. So now let's assume that every employee in my application in my company is having an Aadhaar. Okay. I want to store that, or let's make this as a customer. That would be better. So let me make it as customer. So now I want to identify from this customer, I want to identify his Aadhaar details. Okay, let's say. Otherwise, you want to identify from Aadhaar the customer. So if you establish a relationship between two entities in one direction, so then it will called as one directional mapping. If you establish a mapping between them from other direction as well, then it is called as two directional mapping. So for example, if I map only from employee to other or only from Aadhaar to employee, it is called as one directional mapping. Okay, if I establish both, इसको क्या बोलते हैं? Two directional mapping. इसका मतलब क्या है? If you have a employee ID, sorry, if you know the employee ID, then I can get you Aadhaar card. So similarly, if you know the Aadhaar ID, then I will be able to get you the employee details. That is the meaning of these mappings. The purpose of mapping is, so you will have one information, other information you want. So you will be able to get it automatically with the help of my Hibernate. You give me the ID, employee ID, I will get, or my Hibernate will get you the associated Aadhaar card details. Or you give me Aadhaar card detail, I will give you the associated customer details. So ultimately, what is the necessity for mapping? The mapping necessity is to fetch the record. So in your business case, or when you are developing your application, how you want to access your data. So based on that, you do the mapping. So if the requirement is not there, don't do the mapping, that's all. So they will be independent entities. Clear enough? So in my previous experience, students will think that they have to establish all the mappings. If it is not required, why you will do? Am I clear? So let's say in this mapping, let's say I will have in my application requirement. So I will get Aadhaar card, and from that I need to identify the customer, then do the mapping between Aadhaar to customer. That's all. Or else, so there is one more use case in which you will get the customer ID and you have to identify his Aadhaar card, then do the mapping between customer and Aadhaar. So now let's say, let's first do one directional mapping. So customer is having a dependency on Aadhaar. Private Aadhaar. So you see that this is a dependency, correct now? Customer has a dependency on Aadhaar. Is this clear? So on top of this, what you need to write? So what is the mapping you will write here? How many records from your customer table are related, customer entity are related to how many records in Aadhaar?
1 to 1.
You got this? Correct now? So we want to inform Hibernate that so there is a associated record in the particular Aadhaar entity as well. So what do I need to do? I just need to make this as a Pojo class. So my Hibernate will read this Pojo class and apply your annotations. So let's quickly do that. So Pojo class is very important for us. So because I'm making it as a RESTful application now, then I don't need these things. Okay, so let it be like this. So similarly here, I'm not doing a two-way mapping. We will see that later. So let's create this simple project. Let me save these files. So I'm getting some errors. Let's see what are those errors. See, my Hibernate is trying to create one constraint of a foreign key, Aadhaar ID references Aadhaar ID in my table called customer. Okay, so when it was trying to do that, so it had an issue executing a DDL alter table customer add a constraint this particular foreign key 004. Okay, so you should be a good reader of these error messages, guys. Fail to add the foreign key constraint, missing index for constraint. So it is telling me that it does not have an index in the reference table Aadhaar.
इसमें ऐड करने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ती है जैसे ज्वाइन करने का.
One second. So what did we miss? Let me check. One second, guys. One second, I'll answer your question. So because when I ran it for the first time now, I had already created this table as employee, and I have done some modification because I have an update here now. So it is creating some problem there. So what I'll do, I'll go for creator. So now you can see that my table got customer got created. My table got Aadhaar also got created. The only thing is it was trying to create my customer first before creating my Aadhaar table. That was the issue because my customer got created first now when I executed first. So the actual requirement is, for example, without Aadhaar, you will not be able to create a customer. ठीक है, because my customer is having a dependency on Aadhaar. Aadhaar को आप पहले create करना है ना, बाद में आप customer insert कर सकते हो. So this is how we have done the mappings right now. So they should see customer, of course you can independently create them, but when you want to associate, there should be an Aadhaar record in the Aadhaar entity, then only you will be able to associate it. Okay, so you wanted to create a foreign key. आपको फॉरेन की क्रिएट करने के लिए आपको आधार टेबल चाहिए था ना, इसलिए वो एरर आ रहा था. Am I clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now you guys, you can see I can stop it and rerun it. So I have stopped my execution. And also I will now change this to update. Okay, let me rerun it. So now let me go to my workbench. Guys, you can observe here that my Aadhaar got created and even my customer also got created. Guys, you can see here. So you have a ID and you have a name. Okay, and your ID key, ID is a primary key. Why it created as a primary key, guys? So it has got two attributes here. My question is why it created ID as a primary key here. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. So we have write the annotation of ID.
Ha, badhiya. So we are informing, we are giving some instruction to our Hibernate. ठीक है ना? So इसलिए वो एक it has created a table like this. So similarly, let's describe. Guys, can you observe this and relate to what it has created here? Guys, what it has created? Make it fast, guys. Are you able to understand what it has created for us here in our customer table?
आधार आईडी को शायद फॉरेन की तरह यूज कर रहा है.
Ah, yes. So it has created this particular column to store. It has created one foreign key that references my Aadhaar. Okay.
सर ये MUL क्या है सर? फॉरेन की तो FK से डिनोट.
Sorry.
सर MUL ये डिनोट्स करता है.
Maybe what is this MUL? Why it is showing it as MUL? I don't know. Maybe because it is referring. Okay, let's go and check it in Google.
एक तरह की फॉरेन की है, उसका नाम है सर. मल्टीपल
Multiple, yeah. Mal in MySQL. What is that? Key. So multiple rows to have a same value, that's all. And it is not unique. To identify that it is not unique, it is displaying like null. So even just like you, many people have discussed about this in Stack Overflow. Okay, right. So I think you guys have understood now. Is this much clear?
Yes.
So guys, what I'll be doing now is, so I have written one controller. So in this controller itself, okay, let's say, I don't want to write a separate service layer, and I don't want to showcase the functionality. Just I want to retrieve this data in my database, from my database. I want to store and I want to retrieve it. That's all. Okay. I will create one DAO layer, and in that DAO layer directly I would like to access them. Okay. I'll create a package called as DAO. So here I would like to create. Okay. 1 second, guys. Okay. So guys, we can implement a DAO layer for ourselves. Okay. Otherwise, we can also ask my framework to implement the DAO layer for us. Okay. There is something called as a JPA repository, or my Spring Boot people have created one more project, which is called as a Spring Boot data project. So using that particular data project, we can make, or we can ask our Spring Boot people to create that repository object for us automatically. Okay, so we'll discuss more on that particular repository. It is called as a JPA repository. Now, what to make our understanding faster, let's create that particular repository layer with the help of this JPA repository. For time being, what we will do, we'll try to understand this particular repository. Let's call this as a customer repository. So customer repository is an interface. Okay, so this particular interface extends my JPA repository. Okay, we'll discuss this JPA repository separately, guys, on Monday. So what are we trying to do here? We are giving an instruction for our framework to implement our CRUD operations with respect to my entity. So what is that entity you want to create the repository? So I want to create the repository for my customer entity. So you need to specify the name of your entity. This is your entity. So the name of your entity in as a parameter, first parameter for your interface. This interface is a generic interface. You can specify for which entity you want to create that particular repository. Okay, so now let's import this. And similarly, you need to specify the data type of your primary key of your entity. Let's say your customer primary key data type is integer. Okay, this you need to pass it as a second parameter. If you just create this interface and wherever you want, if you auto-wire it, then my Hibernate will automatically, when it is scanning this particular package now, so as soon as you extend this, so it will get to know that you need the object of this JPA repository. So your customer repository is a type of JPA repository. My Hibernate gets to know that you want to do some CRUD operation with respect to your entity. So it will going to create that object and it will going to give you all the methods using which you will be able to do the CRUD operations. So for example, you want to select one record. You know what is CRUD. You want to insert one record. So similarly, you want to update it and delete it. All these common methods, it will going to give it to you. Is this much clear, guys? So JPA repository is an abstract layer that will get implemented by my framework and it will get injected wherever you ask. So you don't have to write, you don't have to inject that entity manager. Using entity manager, they have already implemented a DAO layer like us. We have in our previous application, we implemented that particular repository object for ourselves using entity manager. Similarly, my framework thought, because everybody is doing the same job, correct now? All your DAO layer look the same now. So they thought, let them implement it so that the boilerplate code can be avoided. So that's why they have implemented it for us. So you can just have to add this interface like this. You create one interface, extend a JPA repository interface, and whatever entity you want to associate with your repository, you just give the name of that repository and also the primary key of that repository. So, and then I want to inject this in my controller. Let's say this is my controller. So here I will be able to auto-wire it. private. So this is my, so usually I create my reference interface variable only, correct now? So this will be my customer repository. This will be customer. So you have created only an interface and you are asking my framework to inject that particular bean of that interface. So you need to understand, because you are extending a JPA repository, my framework will understand that you need that bean of this type. And this type extends JPA repository. It will immediately get to know that it has to implement this object. Correct now? So it will going to create the bean of this particular JPA repository. Okay. So, and then it will going to inject it here for you. So what are all the default methods are there in this weekend you guys can study. So I'm going to teach you right now only a couple of them. Okay. For example, get by ID. Okay. So let me just find you a link. So where then you guys can do a self-study this weekend. So I want JPA repository methods from methods. So it has been implemented by my Spring framework. So let's see that who has implemented this. You guys can see here org.spring framework. They have implemented in a data project, data, JPA, and a repository. They have created this particular interface. And they have also already implemented this also. So using that implemented class, it will going to inject here because both will be of same type. Your customer repository is also of this type, and they will going to implement this. So their implementation will also be of this particular JPA repository type. So automatically it will get injected here. Okay. So now what I can do. So let's say I want to post some data, correct now? So let us write. Did you understand this much, guys? What are we trying to do here? Guys, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
सर एक क्वेश्चन था.
हाँ बोलो ना.
सर जैसे कि आप जो ऑटो वायर कर रहे हैं कस्टमर
हाँ.
रिपोजिटरी वाला, तो सर
हाँ.
उसमें हमें @रिपोजिटरी नहीं लिखना पड़ेगा इंटरफेस के ऊपर?
Not necessary. If you write it also, no issues. Good question.
तो वो अपने आप ले लेगा मतलब?
अपने आप ले लेगा. The problem with this Spring, na, many beginners will get confused that how it is automatically happening. So that is the beauty of Spring framework. जो automatically लेता है आपको समझना है, जो वो नहीं लेता है आपको समझना है, आपको देना है बस. ठीक है ना? You have to give the instructions. हाँ. See, automatically ये इधर वो इंजेक्ट नहीं करेगा, इसलिए आपको ये ऑटो वायर्ड लिखना पड़ेगा. So this is, if you don't write this REST controller, एक simple class रहेगा बस. You want to instruct framework that you are doing a mapping and you want to make it as a REST controller. आपको लिखना ये. Without writing this also it will work. If you write also, it will get more clarity. That's all.
सर repository की जगह container भी लिख सकते हैं क्या यहाँ पे?
What is that container?
सर कंटेनर से बीम बनती है ना, बीम से फिर वो ऑटो वायर्ड हो जाता है.
Component.
Sorry.
Component. Yeah. Yes, you can write component also, because repository is nothing but a component. only thing is if you write a repository, इसका मतलब होगा okay you are implementing some data access logic there.
तरीके से शायद कर सकते हैं सर एनोटेशन की मदद से।
हाँ, you write component also.
component
हाँ.
at the rate repository और एक है शायद at the rate component scan करके।
हाँ, see component scan की मतलब ही अलग है. Component scan बोले तो you are giving instruction to the Spring framework, so scan करो component, जो भी component मैंने लिखा है उसको scan करके हाँ beans create करो बोल के instruction दे रहे हैं बस.
ठीक है।
So if you give component scan, then only it will start scanning. ठीक है ना? Right. So now, fine. So I'm creating the repository bean or a DAO layer, a DAO implementation with the help of my framework. That's what you think as of now. So now what I want. So let's say I want to post some data. Correct. Now what data I want to post. So I will do the post mapping. So I want to do the post mapping of my customer. So I will write one public method. So I'll close this now. So whatever customer details you're posting, I want to get that. So I will write request body. Let me import this. So what I'll do, I will return new. I'm going to use this customer repository here. Okay, so here I get the method called save method. So this particular thing is customer. Okay, so I was just showing you the methods available in this customer. So let me just open the documentation, guys. One second. Okay. So these are all the things, guys, you need to understand. Basically, it has got a few ready-made methods for you. So for example, you want to save an entity, you can call the save method. You want to find an entity, you can find by ID. You give the ID, it will go to find it for you. So similarly, find all will get you all the records of that particular entity. By count, it will give you the number of records in that entity. So similarly, you will be able to delete, and also you can check whether it exists by ID. So these are all the some of the default methods which we need to demonstrate these particular mappings. So it's very clear, correct now, guys? So find by ID, you can do these are all your CRUD methods. So, and we don't have a separate method for updating. So it will automatically check if that ID already exists, it will going to update it for you. So for adding a new record, it will going to check whether that ID already exists. If the ID does not exist, so it will be creating a new record for you. If that ID already exists in the database, so then it will going to update it for you. So you have a single method in JPA repository to add a new record or update an existing record. Is this clear, guys? So that's about save. So this is to find one record. This is to find all the records. And this is to delete a record. Simple, guys. Is this much clear?
So can you show the implementation in the project?
वही करने के लिए आपको इंट्रोडक्शन दे रहा हूँ. ठीक है ना? So you just go through this in this weekend. We will discuss more in detail on Monday. ठीक है ना? Yes. So my Hibernate is giving me the implementation of the repository. So I just want to save it. So what this save will do, save will going to return me the customer object. हमने लिख रहा था ये implementation, ठीक है ना? Entity manager use करके हमने we used to create that and give you back. If you go back to the JDBC, we used to query using SQL and we used to create the object of my customer and then assign those values and send you back. The same job is done by my framework, that's all. So they're not doing the magic, they have implemented it for us, that's all. They have written the code for us. We are reusing the same code. Clear, guys? So what this save method will do, saves a given entity, use a returned instance for further operation, as the save operations might have changed the entity instance completely. That means it will also, you can use the same method for updating also. Clear, guys?
Yes.
Okay. So now what I want to do now. So instead of going for a postman, so there is one more built-in tool to do the documentation of my RESTful APIs and also test these APIs. So uska naam hai Swagger. Swagger is a simple tool through which I will be able to do the documentation of all my APIs, and also I will be able to test them. Okay, so now let me also introduce you something called as a Swagger. So how do I add a Swagger into my project? It's quite simple. Go to your POM file. Okay, you need to just add one Maven dependency. Let's go to the website. So let's Google for Maven repository. And in that Maven repository, let's search for something called as Swagger Open API. One second, guys. Otherwise, let me Google it here. So it is called as a Open API 3 library for Spring Boot. Okay, so let me give you this link also. You guys can refer this in this weekend. So I simply have to add this dependency, guys. Okay, I don't have to do anything else. My Spring will take care of it. Okay, all right. So let me add the dependency here. Let me format it and let me save it. So it is downloading this dependency called Spring Doc Open API UI. So basically, guys, so this is a Swagger UI. That means they have implemented this Swagger user interface so that you can test your GUIs. Okay, so how do you access it? Very simple, guys. So you can give one more application property, Spring Doc Swagger UI path. This is the default path, guys. So you need to access this using Swagger UI.html. So how you used to access your port number? For example, you used to access your testful application by writing this URL, correct now? So automatically to access my Swagger now, the same URL. So you need to write slash, and then you need to write Swagger -UI.html and enter. What happened? 1 second. Okay. So whenever you add a new dependency, okay, it's always better if it does not work with the dev tools. It's always better you stop and restart yourself. Clear it, save all the files and rerun it. Okay, now let me try to hit the same URL. So, but yeah, so now you can see that we did not create this. Already my Spring Boot has integrated my Swagger, okay, with my Spring Boot application. So it has done it. So that is the magic my Spring will do for us. So instantly I will get the documentation of my APIs. So look at this. So if you go to the Postman, आपको पता लगाना है कहाँ पे आपको डेटा सेंड करना है और कहाँ से आपको रिट्रीव करना है. इधर एक पूरा डॉक्यूमेंटेशन आपको मिल जाएगा. This is your get API ना. So you can see you have written only one controller called as a demo controller. So Swagger is a simple API documentation tool hai, and using which you can see what are all the APIs you have developed, and also you'll be able to test it. So you have to click on it, click on try it, and you have to just execute it. So there are no parameters for this. How my Swagger is getting to know that there are no parameters? Because if you see your controller, so you have no parameters for that method. So what it will respond you? It is responding with the status code 200, and it's also telling me that entity mapping demo. Let me fix this. So I have corrected, I've changed my code. It has restarted. And if I go and request it again, you can see you got the new data. So that's how you can quickly start developing what you want. Is this much clear, guys? So this is your get
Yes,
method.
sir.
Similarly, आपको post करना है, new customer को post करना है. Click this. My Swagger already got to know that. So there is a parameter. You click on try it out. वो बोल रहा है. So it request it is required. तो आपको एक request body send करना है. And it also already got to know that you have request body the customer object. So that customer object, so it has gone through, it has scanned through your customer Pojo class, and it has understood that it has got these three attributes to be fulfilled. And it also got to know that Aadhaar is a custom data type. So it is a nested JSON. Object is there in, or so it is a dependency. There is a class inside a class, or you can say that customer has a dependency on Aadhaar. So look at the JSON here. These two belongs to your customer. What about this Aadhaar, guys? Am I clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now, so what I have to do, I have to say that this particular Aadhaar is null as of now. I don't want to give a Aadhaar details. Okay. So now let's say I want to give a ID. Let me give ID equal to 1. Let me give this as test1. Okay. So let me execute. So it has this particular endpoint. So this is my API. So I can hit this API using my post method. So it has sent this particular data to the backend, and my backend is able to save this and respond me the response. So iska matlab kya hai? It would have inserted this to my database. So if you go to your backend, you will be able to see that customer details. But you see that Aadhaar is null. Is this clear, guys? So you just added one customer detail. ठीक है ना? Right. So similarly, guys, now let me write. So let me add one more customer through my Swagger. So let me reset. Okay, so let me try to add one more customer, ID2. So I'll call this as test2. And here I would like to give the ID also here. So let me give this ID as 22. And let me give this as Aadhaar 2. Okay, I want to, for this particular second customer, I'm having this, I'm also trying to ask my JPA framework to store this information also. Okay, along with my customer information, I'm also trying to push my Aadhaar details. So now it is giving me an error. So this is error is 500 error. So what is the message I'm getting? So it is telling me that unable to find a mapping entity Aadhaar with ID 22. So nested exception in Java X persistence, entity not found exception, unable to find the mapping with ID 22. What is the meaning, guys?
Sir, ID should be same, no?
No, it is telling me that
No
so
ID
in
exists
Aadhaar
with
table,
22 ID.
let's go to the table. Very good, very good. See, customer table. And foreign, we have created a foreign key in the customer table. So that means Aadhaar has to be inserted first, then only you will be able to refer. That is the meaning. Correct, na, guys? Are you getting this? See, for example,
Yes, sir.
select star from AADHEAR. Data ही नहीं है, and you are trying to insert a customer with this particular Aadhaar. ठीक है ना? Right. So in your application, you have to manage this. So let's say what I do. Let me do one more mapping now. Let me do the mapping, post mapping for Aadhaar. See, you have a customer repository. You cannot save the Aadhaar with the customer repository. Customer repository can save only the customer entity. You can see the method save as in type CRUD repository of customer is not applicable for argument of type Aadhaar. So what does it mean? It means that you create a separate DAO for storing your Aadhaar. Okay. So now what do I do? I'll go here. As usual, I'll create one more interface. I will call this as AADHAR repository. And also I want to create this repository with the help of my JPA repository. So I'll open my Aadhaar entity and I'll scan through it. So the name of the entity is Aadhaar and the ID type is string here. So Aadhaar repository, ये नाम आपको इधर से इधर कॉपी करना है, बाद में इसका डेटा टाइप को कॉपी करना है इधर. Okay, let me import this and let me save this. So now I need to go to the controller. Just like how I have auto-wired this, let me also auto-wire my Aadhaar repository. So let me write @auto-wired private Aadhaar, Aadhaar repository, Aadhaar. Let me import this from my WR. So you can see every save is restarting my server. If you don't want to do that, you can stop it, complete your task, and then you can restart it. So I want to use this repository now. Aadhaar repository will be able to save my Aadhaar. So now let me see what is it. So it cannot reply you this is the customer data type. It will reply you Aadhaar data type. So just like how I added a customer now, similarly I can also add a Aadhaar. That's all. So now we go to your Swagger. So basically the intention of Spring Boot is to rapidly do the application development, guys. You can see post customer, post Aadhaar. So post the Aadhaar now. Click on try it. So ID de do. So let me give you 22. Let me give test to 22. So I execute. So it is telling me that Aadhaar ID 22 got created. So whatever may be. Okay. So your parent record got created. So as per your mapping here, so I'm creating Aadhaar, sorry. This is your customer. This is your Aadhaar. And we have done an associativity like this. So that's why you have to create Aadhaar first and then the customer. Suppose your requirement is, suppose you want a bi-directional relationship. So then you will be able to either, so you have to create the customer and Aadhaar and then associate with them. Okay, right. So right, as of now, so let's try to see that. You can see that my Aadhaar also got inserted here. So now what you can do, my Aadhaar is there. So now you will be able to post, for example, in my Swagger, I'll be able to add a customer. Let me try it out. So there is an ID. So let me give this as name 2. I want to associate with the Aadhaar ID 22. Okay, so I don't have to give a name here. What I can get automatically, all of you please listen this. So I want my Hibernate to associate or add this new record and associate this new customer with this existing Aadhaar ID. So if you want to do it automatically like this, you can get it done with my Hibernate. So if you execute now, you can see here, it has associated, it has created a new entry here and it has associated with my Aadhaar too. So now if you go to your database and you check your customer, you'll be able to see that customer 2 is having a foreign key associated with 22. Is this much clear, guys? If you go to Aadhaar also, you can see one record there. Clear?
So
Yes, sir.
customer name and Aadhaar name should be same, na? Because Aadhaar is the only of customer.
You have to give it carefully that. You are telling me that you want to give a name here. Yes, you can give it. I'm giving you just one test sample data. Clear? Is this clear, guys?
Yes, sir.
This is just a test data ना. आपको जो भी attribute देना है दे दो ना. I'm just trying to teach you how it is getting related.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So for example, in my example, I've taken a customer and a particular other. You can take a student and a parent. Correct now, one student will have only one parent now. So you can take if you want to associate like that, you should think in this direction. So there should be a parent record, then only you can add a child.
हेलो सर।
हाँ
सर जैसे जब हम कस्टमर में मतलब डेटा जो है पोस्ट कर रहे हैं तो सर मतलब ये हमें मैनुअली देना ही पड़ेगा कि एक कॉमन फैक्टर कोई भी।
हाँ, then you want to associate it, no? Yeah, you have to give that association. So I'm associating this particular customer to this particular Aadhaar.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
सर अगर आधार आईडी की जगह नेम देंगे तो नहीं होगा ना?
नहीं होगा ना. So what you are saying is, let me reset. So let me create a test data 3. So, and let me create it as name 3. So you are asking me to give the name there. So it is test 22. How did we relate these two things first of all?
नेम प्राइमरी की है।
हाँ, good. ये तो प्राइमरी की आपके आधार का.
Yes, sir.
कस्टमर में क्या है? It is it is referring Aadhaar ID only. It is not referring the name. So if you want to refer the name now, yes, of course you can create it. I'm not telling you that you asked me a wrong question, but in Aadhaar table now, so that particular name should be a primary key. Then you will be able to create one foreign key that references Aadhaar name. Then in practicality, every Indian need to have a unique name then.
Yes, sir.
समझ में आ रहा है? Good, good. That actually that was an interesting question.
Sir, can we override the details in the customer class using Aadhaar ID? Hello.
Repeat your question. I did not get you.
Sir, using the same Aadhaar ID, can we override the customer details, like change or update it?
Why you are using override here? I did not understand.
No, not override. Override.
Override. Ha ha
Yeah.
ha. ठीक है. हाँ हाँ.
Suppose we have to change the customer name. So can we use the Aadhaar ID for that?
Okay, उसको बाद में आएंगे.
Okay.
Okay, right. So we are just saving our data, and I'm trying to teach you how it is related and how you are saving it. So now let's try to retrieve it and let's see what my Hibernate will do for us. Okay, this will be interesting, guys, for us. So let's say I will write one quickly. Let's try to write one method, getter method. Okay, so I will write one get mapping. I'll do the get mapping of this customer slash I'll try to give the ID. Give the ID here. I will write public customer I'm getting the variable ID from the path, so I'll write one annotation, path variable. So on much safer side, I'll specify the name of the ID which I'm getting. So then the data type is integer ID. So I'll use my customer repository and I'll call get customer by ID and I'll specify the ID. So what this get customer by ID gives me, one second. Okay, it is telling me that get by ID is deprecated. Okay. So that means they no longer want us to use that, or there is no longer support. Find by ID is there. So what this find by ID will do, find by ID will going to give me the result in an optional container, guys. Okay, what is this optional? It is just a container. If it gets the result, then it will be there in the container. If it does not get it, so then the optional container will going to have a null value. Okay, we can use this for our exception handling. When you try to find, if that entity is not there, then we can throw an exception later. For time being, let's assume that that ID exists. Then we can go for one get method there. Did we discuss about optional, guys?
स्ट्रीम के टाइम शायद बताया था.
हाँ, बढ़िया, बहुत बढ़िया. वही ऑप्शनल इधर भी वो रिटर्न कर रहा है ऑप्शनल ऑब्जेक्ट बस. Okay, you can look, you can see here our sonar cube is asking first you check whether it is present, then get कर लो बोल रहा है. We'll do it बाद में. Okay, we'll do it later. Okay, if you do get customer by ID, if you give an ID, I'll give you the customer object back. Okay, what this get is doing, it is giving you the customer object. So I'm interested to explore this. Let's go to the Swagger. So very interestingly, guys, so if you just reload this, it will give you that particular API here. ठीक है ना? So you click on try it out. It is asking you this parameter. ठीक है ना? So what is the ID we created for the customer? So 1 and 2 is there. Correct now, guys? So let's ask for ID 1. Is this customer details correct, guys?
Yes.
So instead of we writing that DAO layer method get by ID, so my Hibernate has written it for us. That's all. Okay, so now let's go for 2. Is this clear, guys? What it is doing? It has found this record and also it has done that join these entities based on the ID, and it has taken it. It has created me the object, and it has inserted the Aadhaar details into my customer, and it has given me the JSON. This much work you had to do otherwise. आपने सिर्फ वो एम्प्लॉय ऑब्जेक्ट को रिट्रीव करके उसको वो ऑब्जेक्ट को क्रिएट करके दे रहे थे ना आप डाउ लेयर पे. So those complicated and repeated jobs is done by my framework for me. Is this clear, guys? So it is getting you the associated record automatically for you. And this is the use of your association or the mappings. Am I clear, guys, here?
Yes, sir.
So इसका मतलब क्या है? आपके पास है ID, आपके business case के लिए use case क्या है? You have a customer ID and you want a related Aadhaar details. So you have your Aadhaar details here. So in your application, also, suppose if you get this, so let me do it in multiple lines, guys. I can do like this. Optional of my customer is equal to this. See, this optional I want to use from my Java util package, guys. So there are so many optionals, implementations are there. So I want to keep it simple. I go for Java util. Okay. So now you can go for this. If what is that? OPT customer dot is empty.
present.
Huh. Is present, then you can return it. If it is empty, you can throw the exception. No? ठीक है ना? Otherwise, return that particular object. So that is OPT customer dot get. If it is an exception, then immediately this will quit here itself. It will go, you will going to write that it throws the customer exception, and then it will go to the advice, and you will go to get the response from your advice. Let me just format it, guys. Yes. So now the question is, can I get my Aadhaar also similarly? Let me write one more method, get mapping. So to make it fast, guys, I'm just using copy pasting it. I'm creating one more URL, Aadhaar by ID. So I'll write this as get Aadhaar by ID. So instead of using this, I'm going to use Aadhaar repository and find by ID. So here, this will be OPT Okay. Find by ID. So Aadhaar ID is a string data type now. So it is telling me that. So the data type you are giving me here is an integer. So इसको हम क्या करना है? String करना है बस. So OPT Aadhaar. If it is empty, आपको handle करो. So then OPT Aadhaar get करो, and the return data type will become Aadhaar. So let me format this. ठीक है ना guys? So just like how I did a get mapping of customer, I'm doing the get mapping of my Aadhaar. ठीक है ना? So if that Aadhaar ID does not exist, do the exception handling here. So I'm writing my business logic here itself. ठीक है ना? So whereas you have to move this business logic to the service. So now let's go and check it here. Let me reload. You guys can see get Aadhaar by ID is also there. So click on try it out. So 22 ID 22 hai mera paas. Let me execute it. Is this detail correct, guys? Correct now? Guys, am I audible? Ah, okay. So, but you can see that it is not giving me the customer detail. समझ में आ रहा है ना? So you want, so we have established only one directional mapping. So as per my requirement, so from customer I can get to know the Aadhaar, but from Aadhaar can you know the customer? No, there is no mapping, so you cannot get it. So that's why you did not get that here. ठीक है ना? So let me go for this. Let me try it. You give the ID of the customer. You can see you will get Aadhaar also. If this is required in your application implementation, now you do the mapping like this. Sir, I want both. So go ahead, go to the program. So let's say this is my customer. This is my Aadhaar. So I will write @121 here. And I will write private
Customer.
also getting exhausted, guys. So we'll take a break. So, and also guys, I would like to, because I'm doing a major change now, I would like to just stop it, and I would like to create the Projo class. Correct now? A Projo class pura karna hai mujhe. So let me generate the constructor. Let me also add these getters and setters. Okay, let me save this. So look at the associativity. So I have a mapping between my customer back to my, sorry, from Aadhaar back to my customer. Okay, so now if I try to fetch my customer, what will happen? It is trying to fetch you Aadhaar. Inside Aadhaar, again it is fetching my customer. So what is happening? There is a cycle happening. Correct, na guys?
Yes, sir.
So what is the problem my Hibernate will get into is, so let's say I'm retrieving a customer. So then usko kya hoga? So it will try to get you the Aadhaar details. So but when it tries to get the Aadhaar details, na, so aapne bol rahe ho it is associated with the customer and fetch the associated customer. वो क्या करेगा? It will go ahead and try to fetch the customer details also. So when it goes to the customer, na, so आपने बोल रहे हो आधार को fetch करो बोल के. So it will become an infinite looping. Okay. So whenever you go for two-way binding or two-way association or bi-directional mapping, you need to decide which mapping you don't want to use, or you don't want my Hibernate to respond you. So somewhere you want to break it. So where exactly you want to break it? Okay, so that time you need to write that particular annotation. That particular annotation is 1 second. Okay, I'm not able to recall, guys. I think I'm tired. 1 second. Okay, so this is called as see, because my Spring Boot in my Swagger, it has to fetch me the associated record, and it has to convert it back to your JSON format. So there is a Jackson library which is converting your object back to your particular JSON format. So it will also get into a loop. So let's see what will happen right now, and then let's correct it. Okay. So now let me reload this. Let me start it back. So now you can see my application has started. So now let me go to the Swagger. So there is a get customer by ID. So let me try it out. So let me get the customer ID 2 now and execute it. So 1 second. Did that mapping happen? One second, guys. One second. Okay. So let me similarly do it for my Aadhaar. So Aadhaar 22. Let me execute this. Okay, actually it has not created my structure properly, guys. So you can see it is not able to fetch my customer details for 22. Whereas my customer 2 is associated with my Aadhaar 22. So in such situations, what you need to do is you need to drop your structure and you have to recreate it. Okay, so let me do create and drop. Let me save this. Let me recreate it. Because I did a major change now. So now let me see whether my major change has happened here. Okay, customer Aadhaar has created one foreign key here. Similarly, my customer. Okay, you can see Aadhaar ID got created. Both got foreign key created. So you can see here. If I see the customer table, okay, all the data got deleted. I have to insert it freshly. Okay, nothing is there. So now, okay, let me stop it. Let me change this to update. Now what I want to do, I want to restart. So you can observe that all your tables got created here. So now let me go to the Swagger. So I want to post a customer. Let me post a customer with the ID 1, name 1, 1, 1. So you can see here, it is getting nested here. So customer information is asking, I'm trying to post a customer, and it is having a relation with Aadhaar. And once again, Aadhaar is also having a relation with the customer here. Okay. So now let me say I will make this null as of now. One second. So if I go to my Aadhaar, if I try to execute, you can see. So it's also having some nesting like this. So in what way you want to insert? Let's say customer will be there. From customer, later we'll add the Aadhaar. No? So what will happen in your real application? So you need to think of that, and based on that, you have to implement this. So let's say first my customer will register, and then I'll collect the Aadhaar information from him. Correct, na guys? What is the order, guys?
Customer details, then Aadhaar details.
Correct, no? Right. So what I want to do, first I want to accept only the customer details. So let's say, let me make this as null here. Okay. So now let me post it. So you can see customer got created and Aadhaar is null as of now. So similarly, guys, I want to post the Aadhaar now. So this particular Aadhaar, let's say this Aadhaar is 22. I'm taking the information from the customer about my my customer. Okay, this is my test. Okay, so here I would like to associate it with 1. Okay, let me execute this. You can see my ID, my Aadhaar ID got associated with my customer 1. Okay, enough? You understood this, guys? So now I want to get the customer by ID. So try it out. So click on 1 and execute. Okay, why it did not give me? Okay, so in this way, it has not, in my database, it has not created my Aadhaar there. So customer, it is not associated with the Aadhaar yet. So you can see this Aadhaar foreign key is null. So whereas here you can see that it has associated with one this. So there is one-way mapping has happened. Okay, right. So that's the reason. So from Aadhaar, you will be able to get the customer now. So let me try it out. Give 22, execute. You can see you can get this detail. Is this much clear, guys? We have done a mapping from Aadhaar to customer. So that's why we have a foreign key in my Aadhaar with my customer. This is the customer, related customer. So in your application logic, if you associate this customer with a particular Aadhaar number, then it will also get associated. So for example, what I'm saying is, so I'll create one more mapping. So let's say, let me call this as post mapping, or let me call this as put mapping. I want to do this put mapping of the customer. I will write public customer. Guys, are you able to follow? Guys,
Yes, sir.
yes, body. So I have only same method called the save. So I just want to save the customer. I think it has restarted. So let me go to the Swagger. So you can see put customer, I got it. So click on try it out. I want to associate customer 1 with the ID 22. Okay, so because it is updating the entire thing now, so I have to repeat the same data. So let's say, let me get the customer here for ID 1, because you are updating that particular customer now. Okay, so this is name 1. Otherwise it will become name, otherwise it will become a string. Okay, so right, so I'm updating this customer, and I'm associating it with this particular Aadhaar. Okay, let's execute. So I got an error here. Let's see what is that error. JSON parser error, cannot construct instance of customer 1 creator exists. No string argument constructor. So it is basically an error with the JSON parser. So that means it is not able to understand this particular thing, because we are giving this customer detail here. So it is not able to get to know what is this string information. So let me remove that. And let me try to execute it. Yes. Okay, what has happened? Something went wrong. Let's see. Okay, so this is what I wanted to demonstrate you guys. So because there is a nesting, correct now? You can see why it is going infinitely, guys.
Infinite loop.
So it is a problem with my Jackson. So Jackson is a library that will going to convert your JSON to your object and object to your JSON. So a चक्कर जा रहा है with respect to my Jackson library. उसको पता नहीं है कहाँ पे स्टॉप करना है ये लूपिंग. ठीक है ना? So because we have done a mapping something like this. दोनों डिपेंडेंट हैं. इधर ये कस्टमर रेफर कर रहा है आधार, उधर से बैक यू आर रेफरिंग द कस्टमर. कहाँ पे आपको एंड करना है ये लूप. So this information we can give it to the Jackson library by giving an annotation called as ignore JSON. Okay, कहाँ पे आपको इग्नोर करना है. ठीक है ना. So from customer, let's say I want to get the Aadhaar. Again from Aadhaar, I don't want to get the customer. So आपको इधर लिखना है @ignore JSON. Sorry, JSON ignore. कहाँ से आ रहा है ये JSON ignore? You can see. So this is coming from faster XML Jackson library से आ रहा है. So Jackson library को हम इन मैसेज दे रहे हैं, इसको इग्नोर करो. Don't bind it in a looping way. Don't go for infinite loop. So if a customer asks for Aadhaar, you fetch it. But from Aadhaar, once again, don't fetch the customer details. So ignore that JSON. So what is this ignore JSON? ये सब पढ़ लो. Okay. So now, so this is needed whenever you go for bidirectional mapping. Unidirectional mapping है तो ये situation ही नहीं आएगा. ठीक है ना? Right, guys. So guys, so let's execute the same thing and see what happens. Perfect. Guys, ये ठीक है?
Yes.
Okay, that's okay. Yes. So guys, what we learned one-to-one mapping, and also we learned bidirectional mapping.
सर आधार से कस्टमर पे आप एक बार चेक कराना, उसमें तो ये इग्नोर ही कर देगा ना पहले ही.
हाँ, it will not get you that. So, but in the REST controller you will not get, but in your object you will have the details. So I understood your question. You are having, you are getting it in a right way. That's perfect. So from your Aadhaar, you will not be able to get your customer details. But आपको प्रोग्राम में मिल जाएगा. जैक्सन नहीं दे रहा है, बस आपको हाइबरनेट दे रहा है. For example, you asked me a very good question. So you are getting this Aadhaar here now. So it is not a, but in this particular find by ID ना आपको Aadhaar details मिल जाएगा. Aadhaar में OPT Aadhaar में, let's say what I'm saying yours. One second. Customer is equal to OPT Aadhaar not get customer. I'll just print this customer here. Because I want to print it on your console as of now. You use it as per your requirement in your business logic. So as of now, so I just want to display you this customer details. So in your console, so let me just add this toString method because I want to print it on your console. So let's execute get this. Let's see, you can see that particular customer details, you are able to fetch it here. So your इसका मतलब क्या है? So you are able to get it from your Hibernate. So Hibernate आपको ढूंढ के दे रहा है. Only because you had a problem of nesting JSON. So you have ignored this. So that's why it is not converting that particular object back to the JSON format. That's all. But in your backend, you are getting the details. So that's why I've printed here. You can see the customer details are available here. आपको मिल रहा है. आपको business logic लिखते वक्त आपको मिल जाएगा वो object. It is only for your REST API to ignore. Clear? Guys, इसका मतलब क्या है? जो भी आप relate करते हो वो record आपको मिल जाएगा. If you have associated with this and this, so from A to B आपको मिल जाएगा. So B to A आपको नहीं मिलेगा because it's not associated. So then you have to relate this also if you want to fetch it like this. So most of the cases it is not required. If it is required, then do it. You have to decide whether you want a relationship between A to B or B to A. You want this or you want this, you decide. Okay, guys, that's all from my end. So I will be posting this demo program on your Google Drive. So you go through it. If you feel that it is too much for the day, so we'll stop it here. In the afternoon, all of you please work on your RESTful application, sorry, your RESTful implementation of your wallet. So we'll continue this on Monday. Okay, no issues. If you feel that you are able to understand, then we'll continue. ठीक है ना? So you can find this demo here in Spring Boot. Okay, guys, all of you please go ahead and look into this demo program.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.